Yeah, baby girl. I'm gonna set you up.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to This Week in JRPGs. This week, we're going to talk about some updated release dates, what's still to come for JRPGs, and our most anticipated JRPGs. And joining me, along with his beautiful baby girl, is the soul player himself, Jack North. What up, Jack?
What's up, boys? This is the JRPG baby. This is what
That's
happens
right.
when you marry your waifu.
Yes, I've seen a little hand over there watch you play games. When she grows up, she'll be a weeb with all of us.
I have a second controller that I let her use to play. Whenever I'm playing, then she'll sit there and bang on the controller too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's in training early on.
That's great.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but Korea right now, we're in the middle of changing from winter to spring ever so slowly. And my allergies have been kicking my butt this week. I know you have your fair share of troubles with those. How have you been feeling with all that?
Yeah, it's been rough, but she has inherited my allergies as well, which is unfortunate for her. However, it has given us the impetus to buy a big industrial strength air purifier for the apartment. Because nobody cares if I suffer from allergies, but the baby, like, all right, cool, we're gonna spend on that. And hey, thanks, David. All right, on.
Ooh, three daughters. Wow,
you're a hero, buddy. Yeah, we've got a nice air purifier in the apartment, and
that's good.
That helps a lot.
That's good. Yeah, I have one. I haven't turned it on. I definitely gotta start turning that thing on when I get home, because it was at school. Like yesterday at school, my eye, like this eye was getting swollen and I was sneezing a lot. I'm like, oh god, today's gonna be brutal.
Yeah.
But sadly the cherry blossoms are going away. They were fun while they lasted.
Yeah.
Are you into that
how
at
is
all?
my sound today? Last week, whenever I listened back after the fact, I heard that my sound was really tinny and echoey, and I'm hoping that it's better today. I made sure that we're coming through with the good mic, and it hasn't like defaulted over to the webcam or something weird.
I mean, if you bring it closer, it probably gets more clear. Here, bring it closer just for the fun of it. Let's see what it sounds like.
Right. This is actually really close. Does this sound any better?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Well, you can just leave it there, or whatever's comfortable.
Let's set it up here, and hopefully this will work a little bit better for us.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So Mecca was asking what mics we use. So Mecca, I use something called a beacon mic, but it's spelled weird. Beacon mic. It's BEACN. And I don't know what Jack's using. Do you know what kind of mic that is?
It's a Rode condenser mic.
Okay.
I don't know the exact model. Here it is, NT2-A.
Got it.
I bought this I don't know, a decade ago when we were recording the Ajashi music video. and we did all the audio inside of my apartment then.
Nice. Nice. Very cool. Well, so like I said at the top, we're gonna just kind of start with a few release date updates for some games, and then we'll get into the topic du jour, which is the topic of the day. I'll have that. Thank you for knowing what I'm talking about there.
I do.
All right, so first, let me get the article up from good old Gematsu. So Inazuma 11 Victory Road, also coming to Xbox and Switch 2, is launching on August 21st. And apparently there was mobile versions that were supposed to come to that at some point. Level 5 has stated that this is like their biggest game they've ever made, which is surprising to me. But it's going to be $70, so full price. I'll kind of play this in the background, so we've got some footage to look at. But Yeah, Jack, what has been your experience? Oh, you can't even see this. Let me turn it on. There we go. What has your experience been, if any, of the Inazuma 11 franchise?
That is quite loud. That's about twice your volume.
Oh, is it? Okay, let me turn that way down then. Okay.
Yeah.
Better?
Yeah, much better. I haven't played any of these games. I don't think I've ever even heard of them. Just as you were talking about it, I did a quick Google search and nope, none of this looks even slightly familiar. It might just be because even though I'm a little bit gay, I'm not gay enough to like soccer. I'm not sure why this has just completely gone under my radar, but yeah, I'm not aware of these games. I have no idea.
Okay. Let me see. Yes, I'm going to loop this so I don't have to keep replaying it. So I'm kind of the same way. They've made a lot of these games. I don't know anything about it, but apparently it's like a soccer RPG where characters have stats and it's almost like a strategy game. I personally, I'm the same. I've never played an Inazuma 11. Obviously, soccer is super popular worldwide, so Japan probably eats this stuff up. Maybe Europe. But yeah, in America, we're like, yeah, nobody cares about soccer. Soccer's lame. So
I played Mega Man Soccer back in the day. That
hell
was pretty fun.
Yeah, dude. Mega Man Soccer is awesome. People always gave Mega Man Soccer crap, and I'm like, no way, Mega Man Soccer is awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
But yeah. So I'm with you. I don't care about this game. I'm curious to see what it's all about. But yeah, nothing too wild with Inazuma 11. But that's that. So let me move on to our next update, which I think is a little bit more exciting and relevant for everyone else. And that is Ys 10 Proud Nordics. Now, this unfortunately got announced at a very weird time where they sort of shared it, or they announced it right after the Western release. And it's going to be coming out July 31st in Japan. So it doesn't have a release date yet in the West, although I'm sure it'll be coming shortly after, because it seems like NIS America and Falcom are trying to do like day and date. But yeah, we'll see. And did you play Ys 10, or have you played any of the Ys games?
I played Ys 8, but 9 and 10 just haven't made it far enough up the backlog yet. But something in this article that pops out to me is that it's announced for Switch 2, and it doesn't mention anything else.
Correct. So they even specifically say, here, let me scroll down a bit. So they say plans for other platforms such as PlayStation 5 and PC have yet to be determined. So currently, as far as I understand, this is a Switch 2 exclusive in Japan, at least. So that is interesting. Yeah, so I'm definitely not going to pick up a Switch 2 just to replay Ys 10. No. But yeah, like you said, I know Ys is sort of far down the backlog. But if this came to platforms you had, does that interest you at all? Would that interest you at all?
I am more likely to play the Proud version, which I assume is just the Royal or the Golden or the Complete Edition or whatever it is, than the base game. But I enjoyed Ys 8. I thought it was great fun, but I am not a longtime fan of the Ys series. I haven't played any of the other ones, not because I didn't enjoy them or don't like them or anything. It's just that there's a bunch of other stuff to get through, and I don't know. It's tough to pick up a whole new franchise, especially when you're as old and busy as I am. I don't know. It's hard.
No, it definitely is. There's I feel like I'm kind of the same way. At a certain point, I'm just like, these are the franchises I'm into, and I just gotta pick my lane and kind of stick with it, or else I'll never get to everything I want to get to. But yeah, I'm curious what they add, because I got to review East 10, or I got an early version, but my version was kind of scuffed, where they have this mode where you can, like, it's kind of like in Assassin's Creed Black Flag, where there's like these water bases, and so your ship can kind of like attack the water base, or this base, like island base. So you attack it. Once you weaken the defenses, you can jump off your boat and like go inside the base and like fight some enemies and beat the boss. It was actually really fun. But for whatever reason, like, you can usually replay them. My version was bugged where I couldn't like scroll down in the menu to replay them to get like S rank, because I was trying to get the platinum. So that was kind of broken. And then the other unfortunate thing that I'm hoping they add in Proud Nordics is they once you get to like the final dungeon, it doesn't warn you that it's like the final dungeon, where a lot of RPGs will be like, hey, this is the point of no return, like save now. And so I didn't save before then, and I had like 5% of the map to finish. And I'm so I'm just looking at my file, and it's like, 95% complete. I'm like, cool.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit bitter about that.
Oh no, that would drive me crazy, man.
I know.
I feel you on that. I played recently. I played Pathfinder: Wrath of the Righteous, and I did absolutely everything in the game, but there's one last trophy for finishing the game on unfair mode. And so like, I have everything finished except for that one trophy, but doing that last trophy is going to be like about 250 hours to like play through the whole thing again on the hardest difficulty. And I'm doing it.
Oh my God, you're nuts, dude.
It's now, fortunately, because I don't have to focus on the story or anything, it's something that I can do like, oh, okay, cool. I have like an hour. I can't really play much in a game that I really need to focus on for an hour, but I know I can knock out a couple of zones or a couple of combats or something in that time. And so that's going to be a very long project, but yeah, it's going.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, there's something to that. Like, I kind of do the same thing with Wuthering Waves. I don't really care about the story. In fact, unless it's like the end of an arc, which usually they have these like fucking insane cutscenes and bosses, I usually just skip everything. So I know what you mean. Just like, let's just get right to it. Okay, so let's see. Let us. I need to find a better way to switch tabs on this thing faster. So the last one, this is like a more of an indie game. This game continues to get delayed and delayed and delayed. But Demon School, this game is one that I've been very excited for. It's sort of this mix of like Persona and like Disgaea, I think is how you put it, which I think is a perfect way to describe it. It was supposed to come out last September, got delayed to Q2 of 2025, and then we are slowly, getting away from that. So now it's summer. Who knows if it's going to make summer, but this game looks sick to me. It I don't know. Like, I love the art style. I love the premise. What do you know about this game? Does it look interesting?
I've seen this mentioned a few times, but I don't know that much about it. It does look interesting. I'm not sure kind of what it is, if it's more focused on story and things that are happening, or if it's just kind of like excuses to keep on doing new combats with different characters. Because like this guy is a good example of that, where like it's basically just a simulator for how much can you break the game, and then it's just excuses to try to find new ways to break the game. And so this looks like it's a little bit more story based, because I don't see a whole lot of repetition in there, and so it could definitely be interesting. I would be very interested to play this, especially if it does the thing that I love the most, which is clock in at under 25 hours.
Yes, I agree. That's sort of the sweet spot. So Alexander Art said he played the demo and it was confused. The combat was confusing, but it had potential. I'm curious, Alexander, if you can tell us what was it confusing about the combat? Because I thought it was just like a straight up strategy RPG, but maybe there's more to it that is we're trying to be cute with the combat, but I don't know.
Also, could you turn the volume down a little bit on it? It's
still very loud. Oh man, okay. All right. It is basically down as far as it can go without being off.
Perfect.
Okay. Apologies for that.
Yeah. All good.
Let's see. From what I remember, the combat had a lot of focus on positioning. Okay. Interesting. I like my favorite franchise is Persona, and I feel like there's not enough Persona clones. I can never get enough of them. So I'm curious what the social link simulation, the school life simulation aspect is going to be like. That's the part I'm really interested in, but I'm also with you. Yeah, man, like 25 hours is the sweet spot for me. But we'll see. Just to clarify, Mecha, he's like, oh, it's coming out Friday the 13th. This is an old trailer. It said September 13th, 2024. So this is just, I think, the latest trailer that is available. Just to be clear. But anyway, that's Demon School.
I'm always a little bit hesitant whenever games claim to be like Persona or something like that, because that can mean so many different things. Like, do you mean that it's stylized and it has a cool art direction, or do you mean that it's very social link focused, or does it mean that like you just have free time where you can choose to do things? Because we also heard that 100 Line was going to be very Persona-esque.
Yeah.
And though I can't say anything about that yet, that's what we heard.
Gotcha. Yeah, I agree with Alexander. So he's saying Demon School gives him more of a Persona 2 style. Yeah, when I saw this, I'm like, this is like Persona 1 and 2 vibes for sure. But we'll find out this summer. I agree with you though. Like, what does it mean to be like Persona? Because the game that I think is the closest to being like a Persona is either Tokyo Xanadu or Eternites. I think those are the closest it gets without just straight up being Persona. Yeah. But
Tokyo Xanadu did nail that really well. They got the free time, the social links, even the semi-romance options in there. Like Tokyo Xanadu did.
Oh man, I'm so excited for the sequel. They announced the sequel, or they just said like, Tokyo Xanadu the next or whatever, and they have some key art. And yeah, man, I'm hyped. I'm curious to see what they adjust or what they add, or I'm just excited they're making another one because I love Tokyo Xanadu. So
yeah,
I'm very happy about that.
Me too. And I think that they have a lot more practice now with those action style things, because even I know that you didn't play it, but Daybreak 2 did action combat very well as like the turn-based thing. That was the shtick of the combat there. You did Daybreak 1, right? And
I did, yeah.
So the action combat in Daybreak 1 is also better than it was in Tokyo Xanadu. So as long as they continue that evolution and then really focus in on nailing that, on spicing up the dungeons a little bit more, because they did get repetitive, then I think it's going to be excellent. I have high hopes for them.
Definitely. Yeah, the one thing that people said of Tokyo Xanadu, and rightfully so, is like the movement's a little janky, the combat is not as smooth as Ys, because my pitch for Tokyo Xanadu was always it's Persona with Ys combat, but with like a smaller budget. And I think that's definitely true. But yeah, if they can smooth out the combat, like you said, kind of fine tune the dungeons, make them a little more interesting, then yeah, I think they've got themselves something cool. Because like Persona is just so popular and so hot, everyone is clamoring for something similar. So
yeah,
if it could be halfway decent, I think people will be happy about that.
I think I told you whenever we first talked about it, but I played through Tokyo Xanadu like 3 times and like back to back to back because I really enjoyed it. Like it was just a ton of fun, and I liked going through all of it. It was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to what they come out with next on that front.
Wow, that's a lot to go back to back 3 times. Yeah, out of curiosity,
but it was also a fairly short game. Like it wasn't terribly long. I think the first playthrough doing like absolutely everything was maybe like 40 hours or something, and then subsequent playthroughs are much quicker.
You can kind of skip through the story dialogue because you kind of know what to expect.
Exactly.
Were you trying to get the platinum, or was it just
and
like
I did.
Okay? Oh wow,
Yeah.
That must have been 100+ hours.
Maybe a little bit less, but it was close. I mean, I know that like the Cold Steel games require a minimum of 100 hours because they have a trophy in there. At least the first couple do. That one of the trophies is you've been in the game for 100 hours or more, and so
that's
like
crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Falcom does not shy away from forcing you to play the game forever.
Oh my gosh, that's silly.
Hannah wants to come join in.
Perfect. All right. Well, let me pull this up. So I'm just gonna. I feel bad that whenever we do topics like this, like the game that you're playing is typically like there's an embargo and you can't talk about it. But I recently reviewed the Lunar collection, so I kind of wanted to just share some impressions on that.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody's got questions, happy to share, give any, opinions, or happy to answer any questions. I know it's coming out pretty soon, tonight at midnight for, the West. But for me, basically it's, visually they did a lot. It looks amazing. At first, because I just booted up the remastered version, I'm like, does it look that good? But then when you go and because they have the classic mode where you can play with the old visuals, and I looked at it, I'm like, oh, they did a lot. Like the old visuals are super blurry. I mean, it's 4:3, so this one's widescreen now. It runs at 60 frames. So visually, it looks nice. And even with the cutscenes, like when you put the cutscenes, especially side by side, it's like, wow, they really did a lot. But for me, it's like the gameplay and system-wise, there's just not much they added. Like they added a fast forward option, so you can fast forward in combat, but that's really it. Like that was basically my big criticism, is that they didn't add a whole lot, especially coming off of the Suikoden remaster. Did you pick that up or mess with that at all, by the way?
No, I haven't had time for that.
Okay.
That one's a guaranteed buy at some point for me, because I'm a big fan of the Suikoden series, but it's just when I get to it.
Sure. Well, the Suikoden remaster collection, I was really impressed with. Like they redid the backgrounds, they redid the character art, they gave the game brand new menus. And so coming like basically right off Suikoden into this, I was kind of hoping they would do the same thing, but it's not. They don't like go back to the old game and like change it a whole lot, which is unfortunate. But if you're just like, hey man, those old PS1 box sets are like $200 on eBay, and like I ain't dropping $400 to buy both of these games, then to have them both in one package, beautifully remastered for $50. I mean, I feel like it's hard to go wrong with that. Yeah. And I do want to mention, for anyone that watched my review and was confused, I mentioned that the Suikoden collection added voice acting. It does not have voice acting. I don't know why I said that. See, even Hannah doesn't agree. She's like, Hannah, idiot.
The scrub didn't even play the game.
Yeah, in retrospect, I think what happened was I was coming off reviewing Dark Deity 2, which did add voice acting where the first game really didn't have any. So I think I was kind of confusing the two. That's what happens when you play too many JRPGs back to back. Your brain just gets fried. But let's see. Oh, Mecca, this is an interesting, like from a collecting standpoint. She's like, do you think that the collection will cause the PS1 games to go down in price? Interesting. What do you think, Jack? I don't track game prices and stuff that much, but what's your thought on that?
I don't either, but I feel like this is kind of a double-edged sword here, where like on one hand, people can now access the games easier. But on the other hand, now people who maybe didn't play the games before are going to play the games and want to collect the original versions. So it's possible that it could go either way or even just stay the same. I don't know enough about the physical collector community to know how these things affect prices generally. I could see it going either way because it introduces more people to the game or it satiates the appetite. But the people who are going to be satisfied by this are going to be the more casual players anyway, who aren't that focused on collecting. And so I have no idea.
Yeah, my guess is that it will probably go down a little bit just because I know that Suikoden 2 kind of went down in price after the remaster came out, and same with Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. Like all the generally those go down because it's like, oh, this is just looks better and it's cheaper. Like, why would I buy the old ones? But like you said, there's definitely like those old box sets are really, really cool. Like they came with a map, they came with this like leather, well, it's not leather bound, but it's a hardbound book that had like interviews from the developers. So like those old Lunar game like collector boxes are really cool. So they'll probably hover around the same price, maybe go down a little bit. But overall, I think it'll probably go down a little bit. Oh, this is interesting. So he said Paper Mario went from 120 down to 60 or 70 after the HD remaster. So that makes sense. Okay, so Acebreaker says, how in-depth is the combat? It's very simple. Like, it does do a couple things that are a little unique. So, like, if you've ever played Grandia, it's similar to Grandia, where it's like distance-based. So some enemies, if they're too far away, you can only hit them with ranged. Otherwise, you have to, like, take a turn to like walk over there, and then once you're in melee range, you can hit them. But other than that, it's very basic, very straightforward. I will say in the early goings of the games, they're very challenging because you can get ganged up on and end up having like 5 enemies in a battle where you just have like the main character. So the games get easier as you add more characters to your party. But as far as depth, there's not a lot of depth to it, except the boss battles, maybe. All right, let's see. Alexander was asking, how quaint is Lunar, and will it charm new players like Suikoden? Some older games are simple or difficult, but can't capture your imagination. I feel like the Lunar games are like the quintessential JRPG, like friends going on an adventure and going around the world, and they're very like innocent and lighthearted. So I think they are quaint, but I think there's like something special to them. Have you ever played the Lunar games, Jack, or did you play the PSP remake of Lunar 1 or anything?
Nope.
Okay.
Sorry, okay. This is sadly not something that I can really comment on. But the first thing that comes to my head, like whenever you say this, is I'm like, okay, cool. So why wouldn't I just play Dragon Quest instead? Or why wouldn't I just play Ni no Kuni instead? Like, or even Earthbound, right? And like, I don't know. To me, nothing about this game jumps out at me like, oh, I have to play this because this thing. Suikoden has a very unique mechanic to it in like the 108 heroes, the Stars of Destiny, the literary reference, the whole thing, and the base building and all that stuff. To me, this feels like a very by the book. this is just what a JRPG is, kind of thing. And I don't know, man. Like it doesn't reach out and grab me.
You are honestly 100% correct. Like mechanically, even story-wise, there's really not anything that hasn't been done before. But like, I think everyone has to keep in mind, like these games came out like in 1993. Like they're really old.
Sure.
So like a lot of the JRPG tropes that we know today, I think like Lunar invented or started with Lunar. So I think it's, if nothing else, it's like good from like a historical perspective. So for people that like are consider themselves like JRPG aficionados or just want to play everything, like from a historical perspective, I think these games are like super important. So from that, I think that's really why. But you're totally on point. Like if you've played a lot of JRPGs but never played Lunar, like this is not going to do something new or like blow you away or do something that you've never experienced before. It's pretty, you're right, it's pretty by the books. It's like, hey, a bunch of kids going on an adventure to save the world, and like the combat's straightforward. Like, yeah, you're not wrong.
Well, I mean, if I had time, I would want to play it. Like I'm not angry about the game. I'm not anti-Lunar or anything like that. But it's just like there's nothing about this that makes it jump into my list of I have to play this right away kind of things. And like we've talked about before, just like there's no end. If we quit everything and just played video games 24/7, we're still not going to get through them all. And so new games have to really justify their existence on the list.
Yeah. No, that's for sure. Yeah, and if someone like yourself, I feel like this game probably there's like no appeal to this game unless someone has just been in your ear all these years and been like, Lunar is really cool, and you're like, yeah, but it's really expensive, so I'm not going to pay for it or whatever. So yeah, like Lou Rock is saying here, it's like this is mostly like a nostalgia thing. Like, oh, I love these games, or like somebody. I remember my friend playing this as a kid, but I never had it, or I remember these being good, but I never got around to playing it or whatever. But I'm a sucker for stories like this, like these kind of like innocent, lighthearted kids going on an adventure kind of thing.
Sure.
So like I eat this crap up. But I'm hoping this sells well, and they might potentially do a third Lunar game, because there were rumors, like if you look in those old like hardbound interview books in those old collector's editions, they mentioned about something about a Lunar 3, but obviously they never that never happened. We got Dragon Song, the game where when you walk, you take damage.
Well, so if they made a Lunar 3, that would give me a really good reason to go back and replay these games.
Yeah. Yep. For sure, just to kind of see where it all stemmed from.
Yeah.
Let's see. Does the classic mode have 3 times speed in battle? I don't think so. I think the classic mode is literally just the old version of the game, like straight up. So it's like it's 480p, blurry as hell, no added anything. So if you want that good old classic feel, there you go. And I will say the kind of annoying thing about this remaster is it's not like you can toggle the old visuals on and off in the menu. They're like separate games in the menu, which is a little bit annoying. So for anyone that's like, oh, maybe I can just go back and forth and kind of just play with it, it's like, check it out at the very beginning and then make your choice, because you're kind of stuck with it, which is annoying, but yeah. Let's see. But anyway, yeah. Good old Lunar. Hopefully it sells well. I'll be very curious to see, in Famitsu next week, to see if anybody in Japan cares. Which is like, what's funny about a lot of these re-releases? Obviously they're Japanese games, but I feel like the West cared more about something like Lunar than Japan does. Right? I mean, what do you have any thoughts or takes on that? Like if this would sell better in Japan or in the West?
I know that, Lunar obviously came to the West, but a lot of re-releases and things like that are games that never got out of Japan before. And so I think that there's just an overall greater appetite in the West for these remasters and these remakes. Plus, it's really a big part of our culture right now anyway, with all of like the Disney stuff and all of the movies that are all just remakes and remasters and sequels and all of that stuff. I think that we have a very big appetite for that in the West, that I don't know if that same appetite exists in Japan, at least not in the same way. I don't know if they have the same feeling of like going back to something to then add on to it, or not. This is just something that I don't know enough about to really opine on.
Yeah, no, same. I'll be, like I said, I'll be curious. I don't know what the sales are going to be. This is probably a niche thing, but hopefully enough to where it was worth their time, if nothing else. So let's kind of move on to the topic. So I want to just quickly rattle through what JRPGs have been announced for 2025 so far. And then once we do that, we can kind of talk about like ones we're really excited to play, and then maybe we can get into some fun speculation. So of the ones that are announced that have not been released, here's what we got so far. So next week, we've got both the 100-line Last Defense Academy, which is kind of like it's Danganronpa, but not Danganronpa. Like they basically started their own studio and are basically doing Danganronpa again. We have, I think, probably the most anticipated JRPG for most people. Some people are calling it an FRPG because it's made in France, but Clair Obscur Expedition 33. The game's going to be sick. Speaking of
FRPG, sounds like the X-rated Persona.
That's right. Exactly. Then we've got Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time, which is kind of like they're adding more like Animal Crossing-esque stuff where you can kind of like craft the town how you want, which is kind of interesting. Let's see. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD remakes. I'm surprised they didn't put a date on that when they showed it in the recent Nintendo Direct, but maybe it's further away than we thought. Eden Zero. I feel like every week we talk about this game, but Eden Zero by Konami, it's like an action RPG that looks pretty cool. Fate Extra Record. So this is like a remake of an old PSP RPG, but visually it looks really cool. Supposedly that's coming this year. Lost Helden, which is it's from the team that did Astria Ascending and Super Neptunia RPG, but the art style looks really cool. Let's see. Pokemon ZA, Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma, like that looks awesome. And then Trails in the Sky First Chapter. So of those, which of those are you most excited for, Jack?
Both of the Trails games. There's the first chapter, but also the
Trails Through Horizon or something.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I'm honestly, my 2025 wish list is already complete because I got my yearly Atelier and yearly Yakuza game. And so like, okay, cool. I'm just sitting happy for the rest of the year, kind of no matter what happens. But both of the Trails games that are meant to come out this year, I'm very much looking forward to playing both of those. And the rest of the list. The Rune Factory game looks very cool. I've never played any of the Rune Factory games, but that one looks like if one was going to draw me in, this one looks like the one to do it. Does the 100-line Last Defense Academy count? Yes, it does, and you will hear more about that soon, I am sure. But I'm not. Expedition 33 high on my list, but that's just next week. After that, though, I don't have a whole lot that I'm looking forward to for the rest of the year.
That's kind of where I'm at. Like, I feel like there's like this big void. And I know we kind of touched on it last week, but I wonder if a lot of game companies are like, we've got our game and we could probably drop a release date announcement, but we're waiting for Grand Theft Auto 6 to tell us when it's coming out so we can avoid it. Like, I feel like anything that's in the blast radius of Grand Theft Auto 6 is just going to get like eaten alive sales wise.
Yeah.
So I think that's what honestly what a lot of people are doing. I think they're just kind of holding their breath for Grand Theft Auto 6, and then we can start like, fuck it, let's just delay it till next year, or if we can hurry, maybe we can ship it early. But
yeah,
I think everyone's trying to play it safe.
The Yakuza Pirate game did the same thing when Monster Hunter Wilds came out. Is they were like, listen, we're not in the business of trying to compete with Monster Hunter. All right, guys, like let's just release it a week early. Like, it's fine. It's fine. And they did that, and it worked perfectly for them. Like, and they even released a statement. I loved this, by the way. They released a statement on Twitter, and they were like, here's the problem is we want to pay attention to our own release, but we're all going to be home playing Monster Hunter Wilds when that comes out. So we have to release a week early so that we can pay attention. Like, all right, cool. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, so Kraft makes an interesting point. He's like, isn't the Venn diagram for GTA and JRPGs like just two circles? Not necessarily. I mean, Grand Theft Auto 5 is like the second best selling game of all time. So it's like, it's hard to, I think people are just going to like buy it just because like I bought Grand Theft Auto 5 and like, I'm not really a fan of those kinds of games, but sometimes you just get caught up in the hype. You're like, let's just mess around with it for a few days or whatever, you know?
Yeah. I think that's a big part of it as well, because it's like watching Game of Thrones when that was the big thing. Is like when it's the thing that everybody is talking about all the time, then you're either the sourpuss who's like, but I don't like it, or you're like, fuck it, I'll buy it. Let's have a look, right?
Yeah, I think I agree with Alexander Ards. He's like, GTA is a Venn diagram. It was just a circle over the entire game industry.
Yeah.
Like, it's just impossible to ignore. It's going to be the biggest entertainment release of the year, like, without a question.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think that it's going to drop at $100 standard though. Like, I don't think so. They might do that for like the 3-day early release or some nonsense, which I hate, by the way. Something like that. But I don't think that they'll do $100 release.
Well, after Mario Kart, I think it's definitely going to be 80 though.
You know what? They might wait and just see like how badly do the Switch 2 numbers actually look. Because there has been a remarkable amount of negative response to Nintendo's price announcements. And Nintendo doesn't normally get negative press. So for everybody to just be ragging on them hard on this, like, I don't expect Nintendo to back down on this.
No.
They're Nintendo, they don't have to. Right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
And they are stubborn. But like also they don't have to. But I do think that a lot of the industry is kind of holding their breath to see like how do the numbers look versus expectation. Because if the Switch 2 released at $300 or $350 with $70 Mario Kart, we would expect it to sell this many copies. But at $80 or $90 and a $450 price point for the console, let's see what the numbers actually look like and try to figure out, because we can kind of see and guess what the numbers look like. Like, was this actually a profitable change for them, or did it drive too many people away?
Exactly. Well, and the other thing that's going to be a little bit muddy with Mario Kart is they're doing a bundle. And so it'll be $500, which essentially makes Mario Kart $30 cheaper. So I'm very curious to see if that changes the trajectory of anything. But I tend to agree with what Jack is saying, but like, I think like you haven't seen another game announced for $80 yet, as far as I know, outside of what Nintendo's doing. So I think they are like, are people going to buy this? What's happening? So we shall see.
The counterpoint to this is like Take-Two, right? Like they have never seen a dollar they didn't like, and not that I blame them for that. From a business perspective, it totally makes sense, but they are not the most consumer friendly company either. So it's possible that they drop GTA 6 at 100, but I would be very surprised if they did. The 80 sounds much more in line with what they're probably going to do.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because it's like people have to remember that like Grand Theft Auto makes its money with microtransactions in their online mode, not from just selling the copies of the game. So they probably want to get people in as cheap as possible, not like sticker shock them with $80 or $100 and then ask them for more money after the fact. Like, so I think, I've seen hot takes where people are like, it wouldn't surprise me if they just sold it for 60, which I don't think they're going to do. It'll be at least 70, I think. But, we'll see how robust, or even if it has an online mode, because they didn't really mention anything. Yeah,
it will. I like that. It's made them, I think, over $1 billion. Like
easy. Probably billions. Yeah, probably.
Right? And so like, dude, of course it's gonna have an online mode. That's just money printing go brrr, right? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yep. So so Grand Theft Auto aside, though, I'm kind of with you. Like right now, my most anticipated game for the rest of the year is definitely Clair Obscur Expedition 33, especially after having played that 4-hour demo that like put all my worries aside, because my worry was like, why are they only asking for $50? Like, is there something about the quality of the game that's not good? Is it going to be really short? Like, what's happening? But I played it for 4 hours and I'm like, why are they only, I still don't understand why they're only charging $50 outside of just like being good guys and helping out the players. But that, to me, they probably could have charged 70, have gotten away with it easily. And it's one of those games where the more they show about it, the more people are like, yeah, this game's going to be like incredible. So all signs point to this being like one of the best games of the year. Because quite honestly, like as far as like game of the year contenders go, like there really hasn't been much so far. There was that Blue Prince game. I don't know if you heard about that. It was like this roguelike kind of puzzle game that people seem to be like gushing about, but
speak like for yourself, darling. Taylor. That's because you didn't play Yumiya.
That's true. I haven't played it yet. I want to. That once releases slow down, probably in the summer, I'll check it out. You were mentioning Guardians of Azuma. I love the Rune Factory games. I played like Tides of Destiny on the PS3. I played 4 and 5. I think there was one other little weird side game that I played, but I love Rune Factory. It's super fun. It's never been the best, like from a presentation standpoint, a production value standpoint. It's always been like pretty A tier or even B tier, but they really brought their A game with Guardians of Azuma. Like visually, it looks really good on Switch 2 and on PC. It runs great. Like I've had friends that went to preview events and played it, and they said it ran really great. The combat looks so much more smooth. I love the art style. It looks really clean. It's just a matter of, is the game loop and are the dungeons fun? So I'm really excited for that one. But I didn't mention this, and I don't know if people want to count this as a JRPG because it's a Chinese game, but Lost Soulside. Do you remember anything about that game, or have you heard of that one?
I think we mentioned it when we did the JRPG previews for the year.
Yeah.
That was that the urban environment action RPG, one of the like 3 or 4 that was on the list?
No, so that one, this game.
Oh, this was at the PlayStation Direct, wasn't it?
Yeah, it kind of looked like there's like a little dragon thing that follows the main character, and it's like mega fast, like action RPG kind of thing.
Noctis may cry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I've mentioned this before, and I'm sure the game has changed immensely since then, but I've actually played Lost Soul Aside. I went to the PlayStation experience. I want to say this was 2017 or 2018. And they had a little, like, it was like a boss fight demo. It was very small. And it was hard. Like, it was super hard. My buddy that I went with, Nick, ended up beating it, but I think the game bugged out. Like, the boss was just sort of sitting there, and it let him hit it. But yeah, it looks cool. Very excited to see the full breadth of what that game ends up being, because it started out as like a one-man, like, Unreal 4 like fun project, like, let's just mess around and make my Final Fantasy 15 fan game, but they've put a lot of money into that. Yeah, so Acebreaker said, so like Sony funded it with their China Hero project. So yeah, they pumped some money into that thing. It looks pretty cool. But yeah, but there's also a lot of games that they've announced, or companies have announced, but we haven't heard from in a long time. And this summer there's a lot of stuff upcoming, and I feel like, I want to mention this real quick. Tides of Annihilation. Did you see that one?
It's not ringing any bells for me.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna pull a trailer up because I want you guys to know about this. I think this was at the last PlayStation event, and it's basically like kind of like Lost Soul Aside, but it's like a female main character, and it's kind of in like Arthurian legend, like the King Arthur, but it's like you play as like Guinevere, is that her name? Yeah. Tides of Annihilation trailer. Yeah, this game looks sick. Like the gameplay reveal. Okay, and then they had gameplay. So I'm just gonna mute this so we don't get our ears blasted.
Yes. Okay, good.
So let's share this. Let's get to some gameplay.
Yeah.
But yeah, this game looks
in the fantastical land of London, England.
That's right.
But made by a Chinese company.
Right. It's really interesting how many, like, all these Chinese studios are coming out of the woodworks. And I don't know if that was like a law that China wasn't allowed to interact with like the greater world in terms of their games, but it's like this generation and like kind of at the end of the PS4 generation, like all these big Chinese studios came out of nowhere, like Genshin Impact, obviously, Wuthering Waves, this Tides of Annihilation. We're in a new era. Like China is like really bringing their A game, which is interesting.
They have the money, they have the skills, they have the manpower, and most important of all, they are not captured by the modern audience idea. They have no problem whatsoever making games for gooners, and it sells. Like, no joke. Look at this thing. This couldn't be made by a Western company because gooner game. But also, it looks like a really good game. Like the same thing with Stellar Blade. You remember all of the Kotakus and stuff like that? They were like, "Oh, it's such a dirty, naughty thing." And like, okay, cool. Shut up. It's gonna make $1 billion. Like, oh, you guys should play Veilguard. It's the best game ever. And like, okay, cool, neat. It sold 25 copies, and one of those was me. Like, get out of here, guys.
You know what's funny? Speaking of Stellar Blade, I read and I saw. Who knows if this is true? I didn't read the article, but I saw a little thing pop up in my feed this morning that the director of Stellar Blade is now one of Korea's richest people. I guess after the release of Stellar Blade, the value of that company went up a lot, which is interesting because like it didn't like sell like 15 million copies. It probably sold like, I don't know what, 3, 4 maybe. With the upcoming PC release, I'm sure. Oh, dude, the PC release is going to be sickening for mods, depending on the things they're going to do to that poor girl.
Listen, she signed up for it. She knew what it was going in. No, I think that the other side to that is like, okay, cool. So if it only sold, only sold 3 million copies. And it's like, neat. So as a very, very small studio, you've created something that sold as well as Final Fantasy 16. Yeah, you're going to get money thrown at you, right? Like, of course.
Yep. No, for sure. And I'm sure they're already working on a sequel to Stellar Blade. They're doing a crossover with their own game, that Nikkei game. I don't know if you know what that is. I'm not going to show it, but it's a mobile game where like
I know now.
The girls with the jiggly butts, yeah.
The goddess of victory. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I've heard of. I'm tangentially aware.
Yes. So that game, you know what's funny? There was another game that came out recently. It was like Girls Frontline 2, where it was like a tactical RPG, but then they had like this side mode and they just straight up ripped off Nikkei. And the only reason I know that is because I did a sponsor for that game. I'm like, I'll take your money. But anyway, it's just really fascinating that what's happening with China and Korea, and because there was Lies of P as well. So I just think, China, Korea, Japan, they're going to start taking over again, because all these Western games are just like flopping hard. It's pretty embarrassing, to be honest.
I don't know, man. They made their bed and now they have to lie in it. Like, this is what happens when you hire a bunch of people who don't want to be game developers to be game developers. Like, if you hire professional protesters to come in and work on your game, then like, oh, wow, your game is for nobody and it sucks. What a surprise. Okay.
Exactly. But and like, I actually used to love Naughty Dog games. Like, I used to do this thing whenever I knew Naughty Dog came out, I would take the day off, and from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep, I just tried to beat it in one day. Couldn't do it with Uncharted 4. It was too long. But I did it with Uncharted 3, Last of Us, and then I tried to do it with Uncharted 4. But then Last of Us 2 came out, and I was like, I just didn't like that game. And then this new game they have coming out, Interstellar, we don't know anything about it. We've
and it's already hated.
Yeah, right. Right. We've barely seen anything. It's like, oh, it's a girl with a shaved head. They're going woke again or whatever. I don't know.
Well, and here's the Steelman that side is like, if they had made a really great game in Last of Us Part 2 and it didn't do all of that extra weird nonsense, or if they had kept it like in the game but kind of a side part of the story, or like part of the character arcs, like they did with Last of Us Part 1 and with the DLC for that, because like, okay, cool, neat, so she's gay, but that's not the main crux of the story. It's just, a side part. But then, man, all the stuff with Abby, and like, I know Abby wasn't gay or anything, but like, it felt very like G.I. Jane kind of nonsense. And then a lot of what they did with the story, and they were like, the whole point of it is that violence is bad, guys. You get it? And like, oh God, fuck, gross. Like, that's not interesting. You haven't made the story better. You've made it worse by making it trite and boring. And then now they release this new trailer, and it's like, okay, you've burned all of your goodwill by making a really shitty Last of Us 2. So why would we trust that you are going to make something good when you have not shown that, like, you don't think that Last of Us 2 is a mistake? You don't think you did anything wrong with that game. So why would we believe that you're not just going to double down on it?
Exactly. Yeah, and like, it's so funny because I have a lot of friends that watch the Last of Us HBO show, and they loved the first season. I'm like, you are in for a rude awakening for this new season. I'm so curious to see how many people don't like it or stop watching the show
after episode 1.
Yeah. No, because like I think it might be a like Walking Dead when like the season when what was the name, Deegan, or I forget what his name, that
Negan.
guy, Negan. Yeah. He killed one of the characters,
Spoiler
and then
alert.
I didn't say who. He killed somebody. And after, a lot of people have said they stopped watching after that episode. So I'm very curious if they're going to do the same thing is going to happen with The Last of Us. Because they've already said they're doing a third season, but I wonder if like people are going to hate this so much and then they're like, ooh, nobody wants to watch the third season.
My assumption with that is that they're going to try to set up like unresolved cliffhangers, basically open loops at the beginning of the season. So like instead of the big spoiler at the beginning of Last of Us 2, instead of that big story thing happening very obviously and openly, I think they're going to set it up so that it seems like it's about to happen, but then cut to Abby's stuff. And so they're going to kind of build in so that it makes a little bit more sense, and then maybe mix them over for the season 3 so that you kind of, so that you can see both sides when the big reveal happens.
Yeah.
That would be the smartest way to do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they're actually going to do that or not. I have no idea.
Yeah. No, you're right. That would be the best way to do it, because the way they do it in the game, like I just hated playing through those sections. Like I wanted it to be over as soon as possible. I'm like, I can't believe you're making me do all of this. Like,
yeah,
that's so annoying. I have never been more upset to play a video game, but I just wanted to see how it ended. I'm like, I can't believe you're making me do this. This is so annoying.
Yeah.
And
then the ending wasn't even good.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. I'm like,
there was no satisfaction whatsoever, other than getting to play the guitar again. That was like that was it. That was it. That was the only thing.
Yeah,
that was the only thing. I enjoyed the guitar controllers on that.
Yeah, that was cute. I liked how they had that little mini game.
Yeah.
But anyway, JRPGs.
Yeah, indeed.
No, but like, I guess the reason we were bringing all that crap up was like these games just seem more appealing. Like they know, they're just like being more obvious with, you know, like, okay, this is what we're going for. This is what the audience wants. So we're going to give the audience what they want. It's like, cool. Thanks, Asia. Appreciate you. So
yeah, and I'm grateful for it. Nobody else is doing it, and they're stepping up. Like they clearly see that there's a hole in the market where people want to just throw money at these games, and so they're like, okay, sure, we'll make it for you. You want a sexy chick in a Souls-like action game? Done.
Exactly. And just to throw something in here, I'm going to throw this in here just so we have something else playing in the background. But yeah, no, for sure. I'm like, let's do it. And this is Lost Soul Aside for anybody. We've been talking about it a lot. So for anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, we'll just throw it up so they know what it is. No, but I'm like, I'm trying to think of what I played this year. It like I started the year with like Dynasty Warriors Origins, which and it's not a JRPG, but it's got a world map and it's Japanese and there's RPG elements, so sure, why not? And then Lunar, Suikoden, a Dark Deity, which not a Japanese team, but obviously very inspired by Fire Emblem, cool character designs. And yeah, Claire Obscure, man. I know we were kind of glazing that game, but I just really believe that game's going to be incredible.
I think so too. It looks really good. Did you ever play Edge of Eternity?
I didn't, but I know that team is making a new game, and I can't remember what it's called.
So I'm one of the people who actually really enjoyed Edge of Eternity, and Claire Obscure gives me some of those similar vibes and like the feeling of it, but obviously much better. Like it's much cleaner, it's much higher budget, but it definitely looks very cool. I'm excited for this one. God, and it gives like a lot of that Lost Odyssey vibe with the action buttons, and I'm super excited for it.
Oh yeah,
there's Taylor. Oh, that sound effect was so fun.
Oh yeah, that was great. Great to throw in there. Let's see. I'm gonna skip ahead in this video just to where we are right now. So Yumiya. So this is what's next. Yeah, 100 line Last Defense Academy. Yeah, this is I'm very curious about this game. There's combat. That's the thing that really is interesting because Danganronpa didn't have combat, but this seems to have like strategy RPG combat.
It seems to.
It seems to.
Well, you know,
here's what we can do. The demo is out for that game, so I think you can talk about whatever, let's say, is in the first like beginning bits of the game. So like, is the combat just light? Is it like very light combat?
The combat is fine, but it feels each different character has different skills, and they can do different things, and it's very position heavy. So like some of them have straight line attacks, some of them horizontal line attacks, some of them group attacks, some of them ranged attacks, things like that. And so each character has things that they excel at and things that they're weak at. But ultimately, it doesn't have any additional strategy to it, really. So like something like, for a good example, something like Final Fantasy Tactics, which is the height of strategy RPGs. You can do different things with the different jobs, but this doesn't really have that. It just has like, do you want to attack this enemy from up close or from range? Do you want to attack in a group or in a line? And the only real limiting factor is that you have action points, but whenever you kill certain enemies, you get action points refunded. So the strategy to the game is just, can you find the character who you can just use to break the system and kill at least one of these types of enemies every single turn? And the answer is yes. Very, very quickly in the game, you find the character who can break the whole thing open. And then you're like, okay, well, that's that.
Interesting.
Yeah. I will have more to say about this on Monday when the embargo is up on Monday. So if you guys aren't subscribed yet, now would be a really good time. And if you didn't hit that bell yet to get notified, you can find out more about 100 line Last Defense Academy immediately when that thing drops.
Nice plug.
Yeah.
Yep. And again, I know we've brought this one up. I'm just mentioning it again because it's on screen. But that Eden Zero, there's like something about that game where I'm like, I'm hoping it's better than it looks, because it looks super basic. But I'm hoping that it's maybe just a smidge better than it looks. But maybe that's I shouldn't have hope in that.
It looks like it's targeted at fans of this series.
Yeah.
But then also it might also have some crossover, because it looks like it has some Dynasty Warriors-esque fighting and combat in there. And so it might have crossover with that, the same way that like Fairy Tail was targeted at fairy tale fans, but also was a fun JRPG. Whereas like One Piece Odyssey, they've already had enough One Piece games to get the fans. This one, they were specifically targeting at the JRPG audience. And so, I don't know, we'll probably see more about Eden Zero as we get closer to the release. I assume that they'll release, more gameplay trailers, maybe even like a deep dive into the gameplay so that we can see a little bit more. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm definitely curious to see what it turns out to be like. And same with Lost Helden. The more that we see about that, the better for them as well.
For sure. Yeah. This game from the art style looks incredible in this game. It's like very like watercolor painterly, like they have that style down. It just looks great. But it's in like the design and the gameplay where their games ultimately fail. So I'm curious if they can like figure it out in this game.
Not just the gameplay, buddy. Listen, I played Astria Ascending on release because the art style grabbed me and pulled me in, and I was like, this looks beautiful. Anybody who spends this much money and time on their art style has got to be putting something into the actual game itself. Nope, I was wrong. That game was, first of all, not fun. Second, no story to speak of. Like, it was awful. Characters were terrible, despite having amazing and unique designs for every single one of them. And the game was just flat out broken. Played through the whole game, and then by the end of it, like, I looked and I checked the trophies, and I was like missing trophies for like, you complete chapter 3, complete chapter 5, and like some basic story unmissable trophies that like just didn't click. Half of the items just weren't in the game. The armor, the weapons, like there were just things that just didn't exist in the game, even though they were required for like trophies and for collection and all that stuff. They just weren't there. Sometimes you would open up a treasure chest and there would be nothing. Not like in the Trails games where you open a chest and then it gives you a message of like, fooled you, sucker. No, not like that. Like, just you'd open a chest and like, oh, the game bugged out. Oh, error, file not found. Like, just it was broken to shit.
Wow.
Beautiful, but broken. So, like a lot of my ex-girlfriends.
Ooh, this is an interesting one. So JG said, what was the other game that got announced with Shadow Hearts like game Penny Blood? I believe you're talking about Armed Fantasia, which it's a shame that game got delayed indefinitely. Let me see if I can find a trailer for it because I'm almost positive this is what you're talking about.
I'm gonna let you rip on this for a minute. I need to give her a bottle.
Sure. So these games, they did a double Kickstarter, which I think that should have been the red flag. Like, why would you need to do a double Kickstarter? But yeah, they did a double Kickstarter. It was pretty successful, but both of the games, because here's what happens when they do these like big budget Kickstarters. What they're trying to do is they're trying to show publishers like, hey, people are actually interested in this game enough to like give us their money. And then they take the Kickstarter success and then they bring it to publishers and like, hey, can you like help us take this to the finish line? But for both of those games, nobody wanted to publish them, which I cannot believe. Like, that is absolutely shocking that neither game has been able to find a publisher. So I don't know what they're doing with this game, because recently in the on the Kickstarter, because what they were doing, I think they were doing either doing monthly updates, and in the latest monthly update, they basically said they are indefinitely delaying the game and they're putting out updates less frequently, which is so sad. So basically that means like, we're going to try to find other work and still work on this in the background, but don't expect this anytime soon. Because I think these games were supposed to come out this year, but that's not happening. I would be shocked if they even came out next year, but
or ever.
We'll see. Or ever, yeah. And just to be clear, Armed Fantasia, this is the same team behind Wild Arms. So if you liked Wild Arms, like that, this was supposed to be a spiritual successor to Wild Arms, which I actually liked a lot. I love the Wild Arms games. I'm surprised Sony didn't pick this up, because Sony published all those Wild Arms games back in the day, or even like Xseed or some of these mid-tier publishers, because I'm sure the budget that they're asking for is not like a Final Fantasy level budget. So I'm really surprised nobody's picked this up.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Square Enix publishes garbage all the time. So, like we said when David was on a few weeks back, like, there has to be something behind the scenes that we aren't seeing, because it looks good up front. And so if all of the publishers are looking at the actual product and saying, no, we won't attach our name to it. Like I said, man, Square will attach their name to anything. They don't give a shit. And so if even Square is like, no way, man, like, there's something wrong on the back end.
Yeah, exactly. There must be, because like when I look at like the gameplay of this, it doesn't really look like gameplay to me. It looks like they have in-engine assets that they've like I don't think someone's actually playing the game. I think this was all like, let's animate this to make it look like someone's playing, but I don't think anyone's actually playing the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And like
the other reality, especially in 2025, is that if they are struggling for money, but have a very solid, at least foundation of a game, if they have a playable first act or something like that, they can release it on Steam in early access to just get some money in and keep the funding going. But that means that the first act at least needs to be there and needs to be solid so that people will play it and not just immediately be like, wow, this sucks. So the reality is that if all the publishers are saying no, and they aren't trying to do like a Steam early access, kind of like a half release type thing to just keep the money going, then it's a game problem. I don't think it's a money problem. I think it's a game problem.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just playing a clip just to show like what the actual gameplay looks like. The art looks great. Like the lighting looks cool. The art, like, that's down. But you're right. Like you said, there must be something with like the design. Because like,
well, look at this trailer. Like, there's literally nothing there. There are no enemies. There are no NPCs. There are no items. There's nothing. It's just a zone design and the character animations. And that's all that you see here. There is no game whatsoever here. And so if this is what they have so far, which is like, that's fine as far as like during the alpha builds and as you're just getting it all together, makes sense. But also nobody would look at this and be like, yes, I definitely want to publish this. We can't even see what the game is going to feel like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so they at least need to show combat. I didn't back the Kickstarter because I'm assuming behind the scenes they probably show more than what they've released publicly. But they I wonder if they have the combat system working, because like I was showing in the last clip, they have like gameplay of the combat, but like I'm not convinced that's real gameplay. Like if we zoom into this combat, like it just looks too perfect. Like it looks too cinematic in the way the camera moves. Like I just don't think this is real gameplay. I mean, it's possible. Like it's not like this is impossible to make into real gameplay, but I think it's the way the camera's moving is too dynamic. Like not even Persona has camera. This looks like a cutscene. You know what I mean?
Not just that, but you don't see any menus or selections happening. And so like, like attack or special or magic or whatever else. And so that also indicates to me that this is not actually in-game combat. This is what combat is meant to look like and feel like, but this is a created and curated cutscene.
You know what this reminds me of? I'm going to see if I can find this trailer. Do you remember the very first Final Fantasy 13 trailer where it's like lightning flipping around and they have like menus and it's like it's super fake? Like that obviously is not what the combat ended up being.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 13. 15 years ago. Is this it? No, that's not it. I'm trying to find the very, very first Final Fantasy 13 trailer. It was like 2006. Is this it? Maybe. I think this might be it. Hold on.
17 years ago. It's very possible.
Yeah, I think this is it here. Sorry for the blurry mess. This is just some guy that uploaded a 480p blurry mess. But yeah. Oh no, she's actually doing something. No, yeah, because look, she's like stopping time and all this crap. Like, yeah. Because I remember when I saw it, I was like, wow, Final Fantasy 13 is gonna be sick. Look at all this. But that is not what the combat ended up being.
I'm just glad that they got off of the stupid MMO light thing that they tried with Final Fantasy 12. Like, God,
yeah,
I did not like that at all.
Same. Yeah, what was it? 2006 maybe debut Final Fantasy 13. Highest quality. Okay, so somebody did upload this. This might be the exact same trailer, but at least we can actually see it now. Yeah, this is the same thing. Okay. Yeah, she's stopping time and twirling around or whatever. But anyway, point in bringing this up is that's what I think happened with Arm Fantasia, and same with Penny Blood. If you watch the Penny Blood trailer, it's the same thing. Like, they're just trying to make it look real, but it's not real. So anyway, the woes of game development. It's not an exact science, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I mean, there are a lot of good ideas that just for whatever reason aren't able to be brought to fruition. Things that we would love to see happen never do, like the Final Fantasy IX remake, which I'm still like, I don't know. I don't believe it at all until I see it.
Let's delve into speculation territory at this point. So what are some JRPGs that haven't been announced for this year, or maybe haven't even been announced at all, that we think we could see? So you just mentioned Final Fantasy IX. We talked about it last week or the week before with the anniversary website, and they're doing all this stuff. So yeah, give me your hot take or give me your thoughts on the 9 remake.
I think I've already given you my thoughts on the 9 remake, but I do have a different hot take.
Okay.
I think that by the end of this year, we at least see an announcement with a release date for the next Tales of game.
Okay, interesting.
Because Tales of Arise was 2020 or 21. It's been a while, and whatever they have, because obviously Tales of Arise sold very well. I know, Mecha Otaku, you don't have to tell me about how much you hated it. Dude, I know, I get it. But it sold very well. And so obviously they are making the next one. I think we will see the next one. I would like to see it actually released this year. And they might be in the we're holding off on announcements because of the GTA thing crowd. But I wouldn't be terribly surprised to see it released this year. I'd give it maybe a 60% chance that we see a release by holiday 2025. And an 80% chance that we see a release date at least before summer of 26. I think it's time, and I think we're going to see one.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I remember back like on the PlayStation 3, we'd get a new Tales game like every other year. And then after Berseria, they're like, no, we're like totally redoing what Tales is, and we're upping the production value. So yeah, no, I hadn't thought of Tales because I'm just like, that was a long time ago, or it wasn't that long ago. But you're right, that was 4 years ago. I mean, it's time.
Yeah. And Oz says the new Tales isn't happening, and that's fine. Like, we will see. I'm making an outside prediction here. Told you it was a hot take, and you know what? If we get to the end of the year and we haven't heard anything, come back, Oz. I'll be happy to eat crow. It's fine.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the one thing that I was surprised we didn't see anything for at either of the Nintendo Directs was Dragon Quest 11. Because 12, yeah. Thank you. Because we got the first like glimpse, or like, you know, they mentioned that that was the first Nintendo Switch game officially confirmed was Dragon Quest 11, and now 12 they didn't say anything. They've shown a logo and they've been quiet for like 3-4 years now. So I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe they're waiting for the other HD 2D game. Maybe they're trying to buy time. I really don't know what they're doing, but I think it's like long past due for them to say something about Dragon Quest 12. At least show some gameplay, just so we know it's still a real game. You know. What?
I mean, it's. I don't think that that's necessary. Like,
okay.
There's nobody in the world who thinks Dragon Quest 12 is not happening. Like, it would literally require a world-ending event for Dragon Quest 12 to not happen. There is a much greater chance that Final Fantasy 17 doesn't happen. And we don't believe that that is even possible either. So, like, obviously Dragon Quest 12 is happening.
Yeah.
They can kind of just make you wait as long as they feel like, and there's not much you can do about it. But at the same time, I think you're right. It would be nice to see some signs of life there to kind of like keep it in the conversation. But as long as they keep on pumping out these good HD 2D remakes, I think they stay in the conversation, they stay in the public eye, and Dragon Quest 11 is still just so replayable for so many people that, like, if you're really hankering for it and the remakes aren't enough, like, go back and replay that one as a 2D game. It's beautiful.
Yeah. No, I've wanted to go back and replay Dragon Quest 11 because I wanted to do is play it on PC with like higher frame rates and the better soundtrack, and I don't know what else they add. Oh, the sped up combat. That was the main thing. So I've definitely wanted to go back and play it. I love 11. So actually, total tangent. So I've been wanting, so I have my list of like, you know, my top 10 favorite JRPGs. And every time I look at that video, I'm like, man, my tastes have changed a lot since I put that video out. A lot of those games wouldn't be on that same list. And so this would be like 5 years later, and I'm turning 40 this year. So I want to redo that, but I want to replay all the games on that list that I think would still be on there, with Dragon Quest being one of them, because there's like, that game's also really long, and I'm like, the combat's not great, but is it more tolerable with the speed up stuff? So I definitely, that's some good advice. I definitely want to go back and replay it.
I think that my playthrough of Dragon Quest 11 was like 150 hours. Like, it's,
oh damn,
right? Because like I did all of the things, including the first ending, and then the second ending, and then the final ending. Like, it's a long game, and there's a lot there, but it's thoroughly enjoyable throughout the whole thing. I mean, just like Persona 5 was over 100 hours easily, but very enjoyable throughout. And so if a game can stay fun, stay interesting, and stay good for that long, then you can make a game that long. However, if a game is putting you to sleep and making you struggle to finish it when you're only 50 hours through, then it's not delivering.
Nope. No. That honestly, that's how it is with every this is going to upset a lot of people, but that's with basically every Trails game. Like, when I was reviewing Daybreak, I'm like, oh my God, can you guys just shut up and get to the point? Like, that is the thing that annoys me the most with the Trails games. Like, they talk so much and say so little. Like, it's kind of amazing. And like, people always talk about, but the world building. I'm like, I don't give a crap what the guy at the flower shop has to say if the main story isn't interesting. So the idea that every time I go back to the flower shop, they have something different to say, it's like, I don't really care. Like,
I think it's a lot of that stuff is more like red meat for the fan base, because whenever you go to the flower shop, then they are referencing events that are happening in another continent, which you already experienced in a different game, but it's at the same time, and things like that. There's a a lot of that stuff where things are tied in together. But I get what you mean with those. And like I said, I wasn't a huge fan of Daybreak 1.
I like Israel. Just skip the story.
Trails have very good gameplay mechanics. Daybreak 2 was peak Trails gameplay because I just got to run around with the little pink-haired girl and just like throw needles at everybody and just tear shit up. That was actually a lot of fun.
No, I remember like watching when I was like putting the review together, and like there's that little, I don't know what you want to call it, that little dream area where you're dungeon crawling, whatever that was called. That looked fun.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like, it's very repetitive because it's just an endless dungeon. That's just what it is. But if you enjoy the combat, which I did, and like I in the footage that I sent you like the higher level sped up combat. So once you get used to the combat at a higher speed and you can run around and just smash through things, it gets really fun. I had a blast with it.
Yeah, but, no, it's sometimes it's just like, hey, games are games, you know? It's like we're not books. If I wanted to play a visual novel, I'd play a visual novel.
Yep. And even visual novels usually have things to grab you and bring you in, like choice mechanics or mini games or things like that. I'm a big fan of visual novels myself, but they need to have something that keeps you as part of the player engaged, so that you aren't just reading. Now, if you'd like, I have a couple of fun topics that we could get to just add on and kind of round out the rest of the live stream.
Please, yeah.
And if you guys in the comments, if you guys have questions or thoughts or anything that you'd like us to cover, feel free to throw them into the comments and we'll get to those. So here's one that I would be curious to hear your answer on.
Okay.
Imagine that you have your own personal JRPG dream team. Anybody, retired, dead, alive, new, old, doesn't matter. You have your perfect JRPG dream team. What do you want them to make? Do you want them to make like a new IP? Do you want them to make a remake of some classic? Like, are you going to bring up the Chrono Trigger remake, or are you going to get the sequel to the game that got forgotten but should have had the sequel? You basically have a guarantee of top-notch quality of whatever game you choose. What's it going to be?
Ooh, man. There's so many directions that this can be taken in. Here.
You have your unlimited budget. Like,
unlimited budget.
Yeah, unlimited budget. So that's not going to be a concern.
Let's see. I'm just writing in the banner for this one. I mean, for the composer, it's got to be Uematsu. I mean, he's the best. Yeah,
he's the OG, man.
Yeah. Just like even when I was playing through Fantasian, I was like, this is not Final Fantasy, but it feels like Final Fantasy. Like the way he composes music and the way he layers instruments together and like creates a vibe. I don't know. There's just something magical about how he puts stuff together. So probably that. I'm trying to think of. I mean, most of the games I would want remade or brought back, they're kind of doing. Like, there's rumors of the Persona 4 remakes. That's definitely happening. We're in the midst of a Final Fantasy 7 remake trilogy, and I'm loving every second of that. Honestly, I love like games in tropical settings like Chrono Cross. I would want like a game like Chrono Cross but less like time fuckery, because that game is about like you're switching bodies with the antagonist and then you're like doing all this weird stuff. I just liked the island vibe of that game, where like you're in this little village, and then instead of exploring a world map, like you're getting on this, well, there's little world maps, I guess, but you're getting on rafts and going to these islands. I just loved that concept. And Ease 10 kind of went there, but not really. But yeah, I kind of agree with Oz. Mitsuda, it's a toss-up between Mitsuda, who does Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, or Uematsu. But yeah, probably some tropical-ish location. I'm trying to think of like, I don't know who I'd want to have the art for, but yeah, just something really beautiful in that sense.
So you would go for like a new IP, but inspired by this kind of thing.
Yeah, inspired by Chrono Cross for sure. I just like that tropical vibe a lot. Probably action combat, because I always like action combat. I really like what Tales did in Tales of Arise, where the exploration rewards you with costumes, because I love changing costumes for my characters. See, like you collect the owls in Tales of Arise, and then you can change well, if you get enough, you get new costumes. I thought that was brilliant. So I don't know, maybe whoever did the Tales of Arise, I guess, maybe. I really like that combat where like characters are flying in and out, and then you have team up attack. I dug that combat a lot. I thought that was really cool. So yeah, maybe like generally, like, and even the art style in that game was pretty nice. So maybe like Tales of Arise art and combat in like a tropical setting with Uematsu music. I guess that would be kind of my thought. And then if I can cheat and do a second game, just
you can.
The same old team. Let's make a proper Final Fantasy Tactics 2. Like, let's bring back what was that guy's name? Hold on.
Would you do it in the same style, just like an HD 2D?
Matsuno, yeah. I would probably do HD 2D. Yeah, same art style. Because I was even thinking like, because they did that War of the Visions where it wasn't pixel art and it still looked cool, but there's something about the pixel art that I just dug. So yeah, but I would do like maybe cutscenes in the style. No, I don't know. I really like that HD 2D style a lot. So yeah, I would probably do HD 2D, Final Fantasy Tactics 2, bring back Matsuno. Same composer. I love the music in those games. He also did the music for Valkyria Chronicles, Final Fantasy Tactics composer. Let me get this guy's name. Hitoshi Sakamoto. Okay. Yeah, so he did Tactics. I think he did Final Fantasy 12. And let me just get his discography just so I don't miss anything. Oh, he did 13 Sentinels. Okay. So he did, 13 Sentinels, Valkyria Chronicles, Tactics Ogre. Yeah, a bunch of good stuff. Final Fantasy 12. So those would be my two games, like just my dream game, beautiful tropical island locations, art style and combat of Tales of Arise, Uematsu with the music. And then maybe for the story, I don't even know what the story would be, but bring in Nojima from Final Fantasy VII. Like what they're doing with the remake trilogy is like blowing my mind. Like the writing is so good, the cinematography, the way they're telling the story. So if we can just shove that all together, that would be peak JRPG gaming right there.
You and I are on very different pages regarding that last statement there, but that's okay. That's okay. This is your dream team and your dream game. I like that. I respect that.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that comes to mind for me, I see a lot of people in here mentioning Xenogears, and like, problem with that is they would need to finish it first.
Yeah.
And Like, I don't know that Xenogears, the story, is finishable because they kind of wrote themselves into a corner in a lot of different ways. And whether the game that got released, because it had some of those missing parts and you knew that they were missing parts, it kind of let you fill in the blanks with whatever was going on in your head, and it makes it seem pretty perfect. I'm not sure if Xenogears would be satisfying if it were completely finished or not. So that's not where my head went first, but I can respect that as a choice. My dream remake would be Final Fantasy VI, but it's impossible to remake. And I mean, like in a fully realized 3D world, like a 7 remake style, and it would be impossible to do. It would take 2 decades to do, and it would cost way too much, and nobody would buy it because it's just again like when we talked about the Chrono Trigger remake, like there's not an install base of Final Fantasy VI players like there is for 7. But to see the Final Fantasy VI world completely realized in that whole world, to be able to see and feel, to experience those scenes again, would just be incredible. And especially if they could really like stylize it artistically, like how they did the original version. It's very, very intentional. I would love to see that. Now, my other one, the cheat, would be a follow-up to not a JRPG, but one of my favorite games of all time. What can change the nature of a man? Planescape Torment. The most philosophical video game I've ever played in my life. And I love games that make you think and like consider possibilities, especially after you're done playing them. This is one of the things that I enjoyed most about Yumiya, but I couldn't really talk that much about it in the review because it does get into spoiler territory there, but it gets deep into some of the philosophical questions of life and ethics and things like that. And it had me thinking about that for a long time. But we're now like what, 25 years since 26 years since the release of Planescape Torment. And I still think about that regularly and some of the different philosophical conundrums that it poses to you. I would love to see a genuine successor to that game. They tried to do the Torment Tides of Numenera a few years back, and it didn't really land for me very well. But I would love to see a true follow-up to that game. So yeah, those are my dream picks.
Nice.
MK Star, you're there with me, buddy. You're there.
Made you think.
Forces you to think.
Forces you to think.
Yeah.
So Planescape Torment, is that like a CRPG? I don't know much about that. Okay.
It is from I think like 99 maybe.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. And so it was a CRPG, and they've recently released it along with Icewind Dale as like an enhanced edition on consoles as well. So you can go back and play it fairly easily. It's accessible. But one of the cool things about it is that there are all these different factions in the game. Did you ever play New Vegas?
No, I know what it is though.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Unimportant. Then there are all these different factions in the game, but they all follow and represent real world philosophies of like ways of thinking. So like nihilism is one of the groups where they're like, nothing has any meaning. Everything is simply the thing that you're experiencing right now in the moment, and there is nothing else. There is no before, there is no after, there's nothing. And you go through, and I think it's like 13 different factions that all represent real world philosophies, and you do quests with them and you learn more about their beliefs and their systems. But more importantly, they expose you to these ideas and then they ask you what you think about them. And the game forces you to confront your own moral structures and like, what do I think is right or wrong, and why do I think that? And I don't know, it's genuinely one of the most amazing games ever. And I think total playtime for that game is maybe like 35 hours or so. You can replay it and go with like different factions and stuff, of course, but it definitely forces you to think, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. Big fan of that game.
Nice.
Only problem is that it's hard to play now because like the systems don't age well.
So hence the remake.
Yeah, or the follow-up, right?
Yeah.
Something in a similar vein that works well, but with newer systems.
Cool. Good stuff.
Yeah. I saw trails, I came. That's exactly right, man. Me too.
Honestly, like, we have all these dream games, but I'm pretty happy with a lot of what we've been getting, at least JRPG wise. Like for my personal tastes, I feel like I'm getting spoiled. Like I said, we are definitely going to get a Persona 4 remake based on how Reload sold and how easy it would probably be to put together a remake for 4. I know we have differences of opinion, but I'm really loving this take of what they're doing with the 7 remake trilogy. In fact, I just watched a 2+ hour long video essay on what they're doing and the ending of Rebirth and what they could possibly be setting up with whatever the last one's called. And now I'm like all hyped all over again. I almost want to replay it. But I think I'll probably wait until we get closer. And I have a proper big screen OLED TV because I played it on. You saw my setup, my insane setup. I don't think I'm going to be able to pull a picture in, but basically, the way I played that game for people watching this stream is I basically had my laptop stacked on a bunch of boxes, and I ran it because I didn't have a monitor, so I ran my PS5 through the Elgato capture. So I'm basically playing on a tiny laptop monitor stacked on a bunch of boxes. And I'm pretty far away from it. So it is not the ideal way to experience that game.
Yeah, I made you fix that setup.
Yeah, thank God. I'm like, Jack, please, for the love of God, help me. I remember you came over and you're like, what are you doing? We just sat on Coupang for like an hour buying stuff. So I lived like a proper human now. But
yeah, I think the first thing I said when I saw that was like, "Are you a poor? What is this?"
Yes, and that was the thing. I unfortunately I have a high tolerance for BS like that, which I think is bad because I'm like, no, nobody should be tolerating this. So yeah, got a nice desk, nice monitor, but again, I got all that like right after I finished Rebirth. So I'm like, oh, it'd be good to replay that on like a good TV and experience it the way it was meant to be experienced. Okay,
anyway. So I have a question for you. Now, remake and Rebirth are total, if you're just playing straight through the story, probably 100 to 120 hours of gameplay so far.
Yeah.
Also, we're about not quite halfway through the entire Final Fantasy VII story. So, is the third game going to make a drastic change that shortens the story significantly, or is it going to be a 250-hour minimum playthrough?
That is a great question. So let's do some quick maths here. Final Fantasy 7. I want to pull up a walkthrough and see if we just go through the walkthrough, like how many chapters into the game we are and what's left. So I'm looking at an IGN walkthrough. So according to this walkthrough, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 30 sections to this walkthrough. And so far, we are 18 of the 30 chapters into the game.
Okay, right. So about halfway.
Yeah.
And I just pulled up on how long to beat these games. And so main plus extra, but not completionist. So basically you're playing the game, but you're also doing some of the side content. Remake, 41 hours. Intermission, 7 hours. So we're at 48. Rebirth, 91 and a half hours.
Jesus.
So we're at about 140 hours roughly. So again, like, and the original Final Fantasy VII was a total of 50 hours doing main plus extras.
Okay.
So again,
this last game is going to be big because like we haven't even dealt with the weapons. So like fighting all the weapons. We're going back to
or the Highwind at all, or
the Highwind
at all, or Cid at all.
Right. Well, that's the other thing, right? They have changed the order of things, and I actually predicted one of them. I was like, we're not going to go to Fort Condor in Rebirth. Because I don't know why I thought that. I'm like, I felt like it didn't make sense. And you don't. I mean, you play the little mini game, but you don't actually go to the physical Fort Condor location.
I mean, so it's unnecessary.
Right, exactly. That was my main argument. I'm like, it really contributes nothing to the story outside of in the last third of the game when you're collecting huge materia to try to shoot the rocket at Meteor. One of the huge materias at the peak of Fort Condor, if my memory serves me right. So that's really the only reason to go there. And also,
we might go there in the third installment.
Correct. Which I think we probably will. And also we skipped, like, the way we meet Cid is totally different. Like, normally you're supposed to go to Rocket Town and, you know, he cusses out his girlfriend, wife person.
Sheila.
Sheila.
Damn
Get the goddamn key.
He's gold.
Yeah. So that didn't happen. We didn't go to Rocket Town at all. And I feel like Cid is so much kinder in the remake. Like, he was a giant asshole in the original game. So he's very different. But anyway, point being, here's what the last game needs to cover. Rocket Town, going to Fort Condor, the whole like snow, going to the glacier, going to the crater, going back to Junon, collecting the huge materia, fighting
Cloud
all the
losing his fucking
weapons.
mind.
Yes, the whole part where Cloud realizes what's going on, going back to Midgar, fighting all the weapons, and then finally confronting Sephiroth at the northern crater inside the planet. So
also, let's not forget that it still has to actually tell us what the hell they did with Aerith, because I saw the ending like 3 times and I'm still just like, I don't know.
But I think they're doing that on purpose. I think they're intentionally confusing us and getting us excited. So like, oh, okay, well now I got to play the third one.
I mean, I was gonna play the third one anyway, but like that ending did not make me more excited. It just made me like, oh God, can somebody please just fire the Kingdom Hearts guy? He's not allowed to touch story anymore. Never. You're not allowed to do it.
Oh, and then we got to go to Wutai. We got to go get Knights of the Round. I mean, they
completely changed how Yuffie was brought in as well, and the whole war element that was not part of the original. It was like kind of that, but it wasn't active, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to answer your original question, I mean, it's going to be long. It's probably going to be another 100 hours.
Yeah.
There's just so much. I mean, like, there's so much that has to be done, and the scale of the things. Like, I don't know how you're going to fight like Ultima weapon and Ruby weapon and Diamond. Like, how? Like, what are we going to do with all these giant weapons? Like, it's going to be pretty crazy.
Okay. Great idea. Great idea. Here's what happens. As soon as the first weapon is released, it just eats Chadley. And then now, if you want to engage in the battle simulator, first you have to beat the weapon, right? Like, because can we eat Chadley? He's just gone. He's the worst character, except for maybe, well, he's tied with Roach as just like, what is this? Like, this is so stupid.
Yes.
Tifa's going to marry Cloud at the end of part 3. Okay, buddy. And Snape's going to kill Dumbledore. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I'm very curious. Let's see. It says it'll probably be how you fight the weapons in 14. You fight all of them. Okay. Well, we'll see. And I'm curious how they're going to handle the high wind. Is it going to be like real time you land and take off, or is it going to be more like canned where you can only land in certain areas? But well, I'm very curious.
I don't know, man. And I wonder if they're going to bring back chocobo breeding.
Ooh.
Because that would be interesting. Because in the original, the high wind couldn't land everywhere, right? You had to get the gold chocobo to get the Knights of the Round Materia. And so I don't. Part of me kind of like, I have a little bit of nostalgia for the chocobo breeding, but at the same time, like, oh, what a pain that was in reality.
Yeah, like trying to get the right greens, and you had to get the right chocobos from the right areas. Because
I don't think you had to follow a guide to do it. Like, the game didn't give up the information.
No.
Here's what to do.
So I don't think it will, because in Rebirth, whenever you went to a new zone, you got a new chocobo. You didn't have to breed them, you just got it. So my guess is it'll probably be something like that. Like, maybe there's some long quest line to get a gold chocobo or something, but I don't know if we're gonna have to sit there and fiddle with greens and crap like that. But and then there's Queen's Blood, because they did say that they're probably gonna keep that, but maybe tweak it.
Queen's Blood was excellent.
Yeah, Queen's Blood was great.
So every new zone I went to, the first thing I did was I found the Queen's Blood people. This is awesome. It was really good.
It's very good. Very, very good. But point being, it's going to be an amazing game.
That is to be seen. I mean, I have no doubt that the game will be very well made, very well produced, very fun to play. That is guaranteed. Whether they stick the landing, whether they actually are able to seal up all the 100 or so open loops that they've created so far and seal them up in a way that's actually satisfying. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that would be. They have a lot to do, because that's the thing. Not only do they have to cover everything from the original game, if they decide to cover everything, but yes, they have to. They have all these open loops that they have to find a way to tie together, and I don't think they're making it up as they go, like the Star Wars movies. I think they have a plan, but we'll see. Yes, I think Ryuga has the most clear take. It's going to be confusing and divisive. Not everyone's going to love it.
Yeah. Well, and that's honestly the thing that I'm most worried about, is that they try to do another confusing ending where they try to do like basically the Final Fantasy 15 ending where like, oh, you stop Meteor and then like it just cuts and then like now Cloud and Aerith are back together somehow, but Aerith's been dead for the whole game, but then like and then Zack shows up and it's like, what is this? Like I don't want them doing like the ending should be clear. And then whether that's happy ending, sad ending, the world has to sacrifice the party to save the world or whatever, like whatever it is that they do, it needs to be clear.
Yes. I 100% agree, because people are very confused right now. I think intentionally so. And you know what's really interesting? So when I was watching this video about Rebirth and like how it's setting up the next game, he went back and like, so when we talk about like Star Wars now, like to you, what is typically considered the best Star Wars movie?
Empire.
Right. And so he went back and found all this old footage from like whenever that the 80s or the 70s or whenever that came out. And people were like, well, it didn't really have an ending. Like at the time, people like were kind of divided like we are now. But then people now, as we look back, people love that one the best. Now, I don't think we're going to get Ewoks, and I don't think the last one's going to be goofy like Jedi. But, you know, this was not what we were expecting. And back then, people did not really expect Empire to go where it did, and people were confused. But then it kind of wrapped it up nice in Jedi. So I think, you know, not to put 7 on the same level as the original Star Wars movies, but I'd like to think that we're gonna get a nice, clear ending. Whether everyone agrees on it or not, I think it'll be a clear ending. And it's funny that I bring up Star Wars, because the developers even talked about how Rebirth was going to be the dark middle chapter like Empire was. Hannah Banana's back.
Yeah, she is. She took a little nap. She's got some bedhead. She's back and ready to talk Final Fantasy.
But yeah, I mean the dev team has like directly referenced Empire and kind of comparing Rebirth to Empire. So, but we'll see. I mean, only time will tell. But here's the cool thing: they did say that they're not going to do some like interlude DLC. They're like, no, we're not doing that. We're just going to work on the last game. So maybe it won't take as long. That would be nice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, it's going to take, right? Like, because it's so
4
big.
years.
3-4 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
probably. And I mean, obviously, like they have been working on it the whole time. So like when Rebirth was finished-ish, but just needed like QA and like final bug fixes and stuff, they'd already moved most of the dev team on to the next game, whatever it is. Yeah, she is, isn't she?
Keep a duty, Hannah. Or
yeah, I don't know. I'm very interested to see what they come up with, and for sure I'm going to enjoy it way more than Kingdom Hearts 4, no matter how badly they screw up the ending.
Yeah. Oh god, Kingdom Hearts 4. That's another game they announced forever ago and they haven't done anything with. I wouldn't be surprised if they show something with that this summer too, but who knows? Here's my dark horse announcement for like this summer of announcements. I believe it's what's today? It might be either this weekend or it might be next week. They're doing some like Nier anniversary thing. You want to talk about a game that's due for a sequel, Nier Automata sequel? Like, where is that? That game came out like 8 years ago.
Does it need a sequel though?
It doesn't need a sequel, but from a business standpoint, Nier, that game and those characters are so popular, like figure it out. Like it doesn't have to be a sequel. It could just be another Nier game.
I wonder about things like that because I know that like Nier is very popular. I have no idea what kind of numbers it did.
9 million. 9 million copies sold.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. For real.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it when they announced it. I was like, that's insane.
Okay. That is a lot. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That would definitely be interesting. Now, the question there is like, yes, from a business standpoint, but you have to have Yoko Taro on board.
Yes,
and
100%. Yeah,
I don't know that is a man who is motivated by business sense. Like, I think if he wants to make the game, then even if the first 2 were complete flops, he's going to make it. And even if the first 2 were wildly successful, if he doesn't want to make the game, then he won't. Like, he just seems like he kind of marches to the beat of his own drum.
Yeah.
And so nobody knows what's going on in his head. obviously. But whether or not he's on board with a third game or whether he's off working on whatever his new pet project is, who knows? But you can't make a Nier game without him.
Correct.
The same way that like you can't make a Metal Gear Solid without Kojima, right? Like
they're trying.
well, and let's see. I don't know if they're actually are they trying to make a Metal Gear 6?
Well, they're doing the remake of 3, but that's all I meant.
Yeah, a remake of a Kojima game. Like, it's fine. They tried to make Rising without him, and that was like a 2 out of 10 flop, I believe. Like, oops.
Yeah, Revengeance, whatever.
Yeah, that
game was fun, but yeah, I don't know how well it sold.
Yeah.
So just to put some context on Yoko Taro, so Nier Automata came out 2017. He did a game in that same year.
I'm stirring the pot.
Sino Alice, which I don't really know what that is. I think it was a mobile game. Then he did the remake for Nier, the Nier remake, and then which was 2021. They did the mobile game, the Nier mobile game, Nier Reincarnation, and then he did all those Voice of Cards games like Island, Dragon Roars, Forsaken Maiden, Beasts of the Burden. And then he did he does a lot of mobile games. He did this mobile game called 404 Game Reset. I don't even know what that is. I've never even heard of that. What is this? It's okay. It's just some typical gotcha game, whatever. So he hasn't really made a new brand new game since the Nier remake in 2021. So I feel like it's time for something.
I suppose we'll see. I don't know. It's not on my bingo card, but it could pop up.
Yeah. You never know. You never know.
And Mecha, I think that you're right. I was thinking about Metal Gear Survive, not Rising. That's my mistake. Sorry, Oz. So mad at me. Oops.
I was gonna say, I'm like, you didn't like Rising? All right, well, that's a hot take, but yeah, Survive was I think.
I didn't play either of them.
Well, you know what's funny is actually Kojima was trying to make Rising internally, and they couldn't figure it out, so they gave it to Platinum, and then Platinum did a pretty good job with it. But anyway, cool. Well, that was a fun discussion. I think we'll probably wrap it up here. Yeah, that was pretty fun, huh, Hannah? Even though she can't hear me.
Hannah's clapping for it. Yeah, Hannah.
Cool. Well, I think we'll just about wrap it up there. As Jack was saying, keep an eye out for 100 Line Last Defense Academy next week. And if I'm lucky, maybe I'll get a review code for Expedition 33, but at this point I'm doubtful, but you never know. It could happen.
Isn't that out like next Thursday?
Yeah. My
Wednesday. Yeah.
It's the 24th, whatever day that is.
Oh, I think that's Thursday, right?
Yeah. Thursday, yeah. So I'm not hopeful, but you never know.
It would be tough to get through a whole thing.
Yeah.
And create a review by then, but I suppose anything's possible.
Yeah.
With enough coffee and determination.
Exactly. But then after next week, I'll be going back to good old US of A, visiting some family. So we will probably take a break for a couple weeks because I'm not going to bring all this with me. I don't want to deal with all that while I'm traveling and stuff like that. So we'll pause for a few weeks, but then just be right back to it. We'll be in reveal season for the summer, and it'll be a lot of fun.
So next Friday, you are here or not?
Yeah, so I'll be here. We'll do this next week, same time. But then the week after, I guess we'll only miss 1 week. Yeah, so the week after, I'll be in California, and then we'll be back the following week. Yeah, usual. Yeah, we'll have to get some lunch, some ramen, or some In-N-Out or something yummy. Cool. All right. Well, that'll do it for us, folks. Thanks for tuning in. we had a lot of people tune in, so this is one of the bigger episodes numbers wise, at least from what I could tell. But
party time. They came for Hannah.
Yeah, that's right. They're here for the cute baby. That's right. Just bring a cute baby. Everyone will love it.
Hannah, all right, you're famous.
Woohoo. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.